Bye, Moisa. Welcome again to another question answer class. Um, Taught by myself, student teacher of Partner Bab Yanun. Going by the name, my Ranan name or Ranani Kawun, Usir Ka'araye, also known as Ni or Kwabina, one. So tones relating to who I am and how I linked into my ancestors and my relatives. Okay, you just heard for the first time, if it's your first time, you just heard our affirmation. Okay, our affirmation is our call or connection that we make with our ancestors to give them, pay them homage, to show them respect, to show that we're linked to them and that we haven't forgotten them. Because without them, we wouldn't exist. So that is what our affirmation is, and that was known as Pa'ot. Okay, the all expanding. Okay, we're gonna go into our class today. I did a small topic class based off of what I was researching, and also maybe you've never even were aware or never contemplated this reality. But that's why we teach this information, or by way of Partner Babianun, is to teach that Wu-Sabat is a science within the science, and that all of these things are linked to you in some shape or form, okay? And how it works and affects you and effects you, okay? There's effect and effect. So this title of this, I was gonna say track. The title of this class is simply the human tuning fork, okay? The human tuning fork, electromagnetic conductor, all right? So I'm gonna dive real deep. First of all, before I do that, what is it for anybody who is not familiar or does know? Can you explain to me a tuning fork, not a human tuning fork, a tuning fork on what it is? Does anybody know what a tuning fork is and what it does? Before we get into the class, it's all right. It's not a name and shame or blame or making people feel like they don't know. It's just, you may know, you might have used it before. So, tuning fork, anyone? Any takers? What is a tuning fork? Go ahead, Masana.
I don't know, is it made from iron?
Not iron, but yep, it is a metal. Yep, it is a metal. Yep. Either zinc or and some kind of alloy.
No, you hit it and it creates a vibration.
Okay.
And then you can put the vibration over the auric field or on the physical body.
Okay.
And then that vibration transfers into yourself and helps to, well, that frequency helps either balance out or go where it needs to go to create balance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect. Excellent answer. So that's essentially it. So let's go to the first. Let me share the screen and go to the slide. Can you see the screen?
Sure.
Okay, so you have
Should I do this?
no, it's fine. Can you see? Can I be seen? Maybe I have to move this slightly to the left. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna move the screen.
Actually, while you're doing class, let me do it.
Yeah, please. Okay, so you have second slide. Okay, what are tuning forks? Okay, so as the sister quite rightly said, tuning forks alleviates chronic stress and pain, enhances relaxation. Yeah, let me do that. That's good. We need it. Okay. Oh,
Press the arrows, use the keyboard arrows.
there you go. Right. Alleviates chronic, enhances relaxation, and reduces muscle tension, balances the body's energy fields, supports other healing practices like yoga and meditation, promotes homeostasis and DNA repair, improves overall wellness and vitality. Okay, so that is what a tuning fork is and what it does. Okay, or what it is, more what it does than what it is. So essentially, a tuning fork is made up of a metal oxide of some sort, or element, zinc, or some kind of okay. And what happens is that when you strike the fork, all right, the fork emanates a resonance frequency, as the sister said. And that frequency will only match the resonant frequency of whatever particular element, bone, cartilage, etc., organ it resonates with. And that only that particular organ or bone or element will resonate with it. So it's basically, if you have a tuning fork from A to B, it begins resonating with a sympathetic. So sympathetic vibration is literally saying that you're similar to me, and then I'm gonna vibrate on the same, I vibrate on the same frequency or resonant frequency as you. Okay, so that's essentially what's happening when you're using the tuning fork. All right, so as you can see, it shows you the prongs and different parts of the actual instrument.
Did you also have a sunroof? No. There was another one that I was gonna, but it was white.
Mic.
No, where am I getting a mic off?
No, somebody's got a mic on. Could you turn your mic down, please? Or turn your mic off. Thank you. Appreciate that. Tawata. Okay, so essentially that's what's taking place with a tuning fork, where you have, so if it's a tuning frequency of A note, it'll only match the A note of that next octave, etc. That's how it works, all right? Right. Now, how does that apply to the human body? Well, the human body is known, or the bones in particular, is known as a conductor, right? It conducts waves, frequency, and sound, all right? So the building blocks of bone is that bones are formed through a process called ossification, where specialized cells called osteoblasts, don't worry, you see an image of it, so not to confuse you. These osteoblasts synthesize a matrix of collagen and minerals, primarily calcium and phosphate, which then harden and mineralize, creating strong, rigid bone tissue. Okay. In bone, collagen and hydroxyapatite form a piezoelectric semiconducting composite. I'll get to that as well. So we're just going to read through the building blocks, okay, of bone. So know that first and foremost, bone is a conductor, right? And we just explained what a tuning fork is, okay? It conducts sound, right? So follow, if you can follow that train of thought or pattern. When you move stress voltage electrical signal in nerves or bone regeneration pathways, nature's built-in bioelectronic chip in a way. All right, so your bones or your body is actually nature's natural electronic yes.
That's why I think it was last week you were talking about we should get cremated, not buried. Is that because of like this science that like so that you can't conduct the bones anymore when you're cremated? There's no conduction of your energy anymore.
Partly, but not so much. It's more to do with the blood, the spirits in the blood. So when a person transitions, their spirit is anchored to this world realm when they die. So that's the reason why we cremate, because it releases the spirit to the other realms. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, but it's all to do with the bone, because the bone produces the blood and the ether. Okay, that's what your bones do. But we're going to show you a bit more on the bones and what it produces. So here's a more detailed explanation. So the building blocks. Collagen, a protein that forms a framework or scaffolding of bone. Minerals, primarily calcium phosphate, which makes the bone hard and strong. Osteoblasts, specialized cells that produce the bone matrix, collagen and minerals. Osteoclasts, cells that break down old bone tissue, allowing for remodeling and repairing. Okay, it will start becoming more significant as to why these things are important and why your body's structured the way it is. Okay, and why chanting is also important. Right. Next slide. All right, so here's the slide here. So you're looking at, on this particular slide, you see the bone marrow, okay? And you have the what is known as as I mentioned before, the osteocyte and the osteoblast. Go back to the previous screen so that you can be more familiar. Yeah, so you got the bones at the top there. It talks about the osteoblast. Okay. and here you're seeing it here, okay, as a cell. Okay, and this is what the osteoblast here in the middle here is what is being produced. Okay, within the bone marrow, you see that there's different, you see the osteoblast, okay, within the bone marrow. Okay, and that's produced by this particular thing called the MSC, okay, which is your stem cells. So have you heard about stem cells? Yeah, so stem cells, what happens with stem cells is that they differentiate into different types of organs, etc. This is what you're seeing here on the right side of your screen. On the right side of your screen, stem cells differentiate into bone marrow, adipose tissue, amniotic fluid, amniotic sac, dental, etc., etc., etc. This is all coming from your stem cells. All right. Now, the stem cells also produce the osteoblast, which is part of this, the bones, or fuses and becomes bone. All right, from all of this that's taking place within your stem cells. Okay, I hope everyone's following. If they're not, just please ask away if you're confused. Everyone following so far? Okay. So I'm going to give you a scenario now. Before playing any composition, musicians tune their instruments carefully because they know that such a precise process ensures a high quality of music. Okay? Reason why I put that there is when you hear Tibetan monks and Indians in India doing their chants, like in yoga, and when you hear in Africa, you hear certain tribes doing their chants, etc. Okay, because they're trying to get a particular tone and a particular key note, right? Now, what you have to understand is that we're not all the same. We may physiologically look the same, but we have different frequency levels. So within the Dravidian race, they have their frequencies, and you can see by the music that they play, the type of music and instruments that they use. Okay. Now, all of that is in saying that your body, when you're doing what we teach as the FAC, which is our natural tone for our body, is the F, A, and C. And those particular frequencies, what we're doing when we're chanting, we attune our bodies into the A note, or into the C note, or into the F note. Does that make sense? Right? So as you're tuning your body, just like a musical instrument has to be tuned in order to get the best optimum thing out of it, or the high quality of music out of it, likewise with your body is the same process taking place. So when you're chanting, okay, on those keys, it's actually attuning your body so that you can get the best quality, all right? And in getting the best quality, you are now making an access and a link to your ancestors, all right? So that's the importance of chanting or having the right tones and right frequency and right vibration, because they'll tell you, oh, just chant, but they don't tell you what keys to chant in, because they don't explain to you that we're all made up of different etheric matter, do you know what I mean, or different formula. One formula may work for Dravidian, one formula may work for Chinese, right? And another formula may work for Mukasu or Caucasian, and another formula may work for just an African. So we have different formulas, even though we're all the same physiological structure, but our DNAs are not written the same. Does that make sense? So moving on. So your bones can actually convert mechanical stress like sound vibrations. So now, if you put into perspective, as you're sitting and you're doing your chanting, okay, that's sound. That's a mechanical stress. That mechanical stress is by way of your larynx and your vocal cords. You're actually putting a stress mechanism on it, just like when you have a microphone or one of them loudspeakers. Yeah, is it called a tannoy? One of them. They use a crystal inside it. Okay, and that's what amplifies and creates an electrical current, which then emits the sound that you hear, yeah, in your ears. So it's the same process taking place, is that when we're chanting or doing any form of activity, you're putting a mechanical stress on those things, like a quartz crystal. okay, into electrical signals. So that sound vibrations into electrical signals due to their piezoelectric properties. So your bones have the same structure and function of a quartz crystal. Does that make sense? So the hydroxyapatite crystals in bone generate an electrical charge when subjected to pressure or vibration. So you may start to appreciate music when you go into certain places and you listen, and that music is either very calming to you or very, affects you in a way where it's, I can't listen to this, because it's actually affecting you on the molecular level, okay, by way of your bones. Your bones are actually conducting this, and it's creating an electrical current, and that electrical current is also getting fed into your cells, and your cells use that for either healing or destruction. Do you know what I mean? Depending on what frequency. Yeah. Sorry, do you want to use the mic? Okay.
Basically, I hear what you're saying, but what it is, I know back in the day, you used to play hip hop or rock
Yeah.
stuff, and the sounds of not so much the actual poetry they sing,
Yeah.
is the instrument they use.
Yeah.
So therefore, the frequency of that true instrument, like, it basically come out guitars and stuff.
Right.
I'm saying, because obviously back in the day, not back in the day, said those are called Yamaha.
That's right. That's right.
Yamaha natural tracks for that true frequency, for that true.
Mm-hmm.
So was there like a implementation to that purpose?
Yeah, there was a change and a shift in from natural instruments to synthetic music. That's right. Yeah, and that synthetic music, because what I'll get into it a little bit, but essentially, once your body is creating this is generating electrical charge, okay. Now they've got in wearable things that you can wear that can charge up your watch, etc. Yeah, based off of your skin cells, your skin's energy.
Really?
Yeah, you got wearable watches or wearable certain things that they're experimenting on, where as you wear it, it charges up either your watch or your heart like you got those smartwatches now, and it picks up your electrical current to know whether your heartbeat is slow, your stress, etc. Well, these are wearable things now that they're actually experimenting with, but it's actually being based off of this science. So I'm saying that your bones, because they know that your bones are actually made up of a particular piezoelectric quartz crystal, mineral crystal, that's what happens. Okay, and you're generating in the energy which can be harnessed. You see. So this hydroxyapatite crystals in bone generate an electrical charge when subjected to pressure. So will be like, so imagine a crystal, okay, like this. Even if when you're chanting, for instance, and you hold a crystal, yeah, and you squeeze it, that's the pressure, okay? That pressure or vibration, which plays a role in bone remodeling and healing. So as you're chanting, you can actually redirect that energy, just what I'm saying, to certain parts of your body, because now you understand the science of what's happening where your bones are being conducted. Yeah, it's a conduction going on. So chanting can cause your bones to resonate as the vibrations from your voice, especially when blocking your ears. So everyone do that little experiment for me. Yeah, put your hands to your ears and just go, yeah, just clasp your ears, just clasp it. Yeah, so this is what's happening. You're actually creating a vibration when you can block your ear throughout the body, including your bones. This is what's taking place. So just a quick detailed explanation. When you chant, your vocal cords vibrate, creating sound waves. These sound waves, when you block your ears, can resonate through your body, including your bones, creating a feeling of vibration. Okay? And as you understand now, the vibration, tones, frequency, all helps in your DNA. Yeah, it can, depending on the frequency and modulation that's happening, it can actually affect you, heal you, or it can cause injury to you. All right. So just components of bone. So hydroxyapatite, this mineral form of calcium apatite, is a major component of bone. Its crystalline structure gives bones their strength and rigidity. But obviously, that's the physiological aspect. But they don't teach you that the crystalline structure can also conduct electricity. Yeah? Piezoelectricity. Certain materials, including hydroxyapatite, exhibit piezoelectric properties, meaning they generate electrical charge or electric charge in response to mechanical stress. This characteristic is crucial for bone remodeling and health. Chanting effects. Vibrational stimuli. Chanting produces sound waves and vibrations that can resonate through tissues. These vibrations can cause mechanical stress in the bone structure. Bone remodeling. The application of mechanical stress stimulates bone cells, osteocytes, osteoblasts, and again, if we go back to our image, okay, so you have your osteocyte and your osteoblast, okay, with the two, which are coming from the stem cells. So effectively, what you're doing as a being, when you're chanting or moving around or focusing on certain parts of your body, you can actually regenerate tissue. Yeah, you can regrow your own cells. You can direct that energy into certain parts of your body once you know the science. Now, this is the thing that Partner Bab Yanun has always been stressing, that we have to know our body inside out. Do you know what I mean? Studying your body and studying how the mechanics of it and how it works. Because in doing that, he's explaining various places that we had the ability to grow limbs. We had the ability to regenerate cells, etc. Do you see what I'm saying? This is all based off of this science, that knowing that your bones are made up of a crystalline material, knowing that your ears are made of a crystalline material, that once you're doing these things and applying that science and through the chanting of FAC, you're actually healing your body internally. You see what I'm saying? Without the aid of wires or instruments or anything like that. You see these Tibetan monks doing it, they're doing it for a reason. They're not, it's not just sounding om, 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 do you know what I mean? Sounding nice and pleasant, because there's a science to it, okay? Right, moving on to, so this is what's taking place with piezoelectricity, all right? Piezoelectricity on human body and piezoelectricity on bone. So you have your bones, tendons, cartilage, ligaments, hair, skin, cochlea, sclera, DNA, okay? The piezoelectricity, as you can see the pressure, all right? You have the negative and the positive on one side, and you have the healing, repairing, modeling. So that's what your stem cells are doing. So as you're going through, I see you, as you're going through your chanting, etc., and this another reason why it's been stressed that we should gather together, because in gathering together and we're all in the same vibrational frequency, you've been in a room, if you've done chanting with somebody or people in the room, you feel a vibe, you feel that energy. Where it's not just that energy is also doing that healing. It's a healing process. You're growing new stem cells. Just so you're regenerating. You're actually growing a new you, as it were. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So collagen is a mineral and a crystal matrix. Then you have the collagen protein going into the polypeptides, which goes into the amino acids. Okay. As I said, it's going to be a very short thing. It wasn't going to be long. These are just some clips which I picked up, and we're going to go and I'm going to read something from one of the actual facts. Okay, so these are examples of chants, different chants. Not the ones they're going to expect me to play, but I hope it plays. We can go, you can take me there. So this is from YouTube. Yeah. Accept. Not the most chant you expected, but it's a chant, right? So imagine a people in a stadium. Yeah, that's thousands of people in a stadium doing the same chant. Yeah, in one massive auditorium. The effects it's having. I didn't say it's going to be positive or negative. I just said the effects that it's having. Yeah, is why we must gather together, because it has a profound effect on us. All right, moving on to the next one. You have a question, my bro? Yeah, sorry. Is that question related to this, or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Can
I
you
see it too.
regrow your telomeres?
Can you regret? Yes, these are your telomeres. All your DNA, etc., is by way of these stem cells.
Okay.
They affect all of that. So the acknowledgement and the recognition, you see what I'm saying, and the conscious awareness that you're able to do these things. When you're sitting in that meditative, posture or whatever, chanting posture, and you're directing, it's all about that sincerity. Those words have power. You see what I'm saying? So those powers that we're chanting in those particular tones of the FAC, which is do our DNA and our body, yes, you are able to regenerate stem cells. And those stem cells linked into your DNA. Yeah. Yeah.
I will say.
And I see you after. Yeah.
Thinking about bird's eye view.
Yeah.
It's actually a speaker.
Yeah, it's an auditory, literally a massive speaker. That's right. That's right. Exactly. Definitely. It's like a diaphragm. Yeah. Literally. And they create it in those ways for a reason. Just you can only get the most ambient sound coming out of it. Yeah. HD. So gonna go, I'll just show you a couple more and then we'll open it up for class. Question answer class, sorry. So next one is I chose football for a reason. And I explain why. So all in harmony, yeah, all generating. Okay. Yeah, I won't kill you today. But you get the gist. Yeah, you get the gist. Last one. This is Oasis. Look at that crowd.
We're not hearing it. The chants. We're
Yeah.
not.
Huge. Huge. Okay. Right. You might be thinking, why did he play us these things? Well, let's just jump to sorry, any questions before I move on? Yes, my brother.
Yeah, I've heard about energy healing, energy in music, healing in learning, and all those things. And I also know that there is nothing like free lunch, even in Freetown.
Okay.
And if you're getting something free, somebody is getting paid.
Right, your lead.
Whenever I see something free, then to be suspicious.
Okay. Okay.
And that's what it is in enslaving black men most times.
Right.
Sorry, we didn't see the video. We didn't see anything.
You didn't see the video?
On Zoom.
Sorry, say that again. Did you see the last videos or you didn't see the videos?
We didn't see them on Zoom.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
really?
didn't. No, we didn't.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me play one more time. Did you hear the sound though?
No, nothing. We didn't hear anything.
Okay, let me do it again for those who didn't hear. I beg your pardon. And then I'll get to your question, yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you, Jose. Thank you. I appreciate that because for some reason it kicked me out and then it logged me back in. But yeah, on here you can see I put in the chat the links to those particular footage. The reason why I put that footage in, it'll become a bit more clearer when I go to the next reading. Okay, this is read from an actual fact. Right, can you see that? Can I be seen if you could turn on the light? Right, this is the link in to the last video footage. Okay, so it says here on actual fact, this is taken from I'm pretty sure it's Sex, Minds, and Slaves, actual fact. But I need to double check that because when I was doing it, I lost the scanning and it went all over the place. So I couldn't actually remember what I actually scanned it from. But I'm pretty sure it's from Sex, Minds, and Slaves. Okay, so essentially, you got when we tie it into extraterrestrials now, you have certain beings, okay, who are from extraterrestrial origin that use sound, tones, and vibration to control the masses. All right. In this verse here, it says here, they seek, verse 17 says, seeks to get into your head to rule your body and take your ba'a soul to control your emotions. Verse 18 explains, because you are physical, yet you are much more than physical. So that goes back to what I explained earlier regarding your bones and your collagen and your DNA, etc. So you're more than just a physical being. The physical body of living Hayat creatures, as well as humans, is not solid material or matter. It is composed of particles, even mitwalat, waves. Okay. That's verse 20. Verse 21. The human body, hashar, flesh, and atam, bone, is an electromagnetic semiconductor. And they seek to tap into yours, right? So this is part where understanding the reason for some of these places that you go to, the big massive arenas. Okay, these big massive arenas, they're not just created for just sport enjoyment. All the things that I just played to you is because extraterrestrials use these venues, okay, in order to actually use your body, because they understand the science of the body. And they understand that the science of electromagnetic frequencies and your body is a semiconductor. Okay, that's what your bones are. So they seek to tap into that, all right, and harness that energy. This is what they're doing.
So it's not coincidence.
It's not a coincidence.
These two stadiums.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah, because when you go into a sports stadium and you're watching your favorite team play and then they lose, for instance, yeah, there's a different type of energy. Okay, when they're chanting at each other, etc., wherever they're chanting, do you know what I mean? It's a different type of energy. When they score, it's a different type of energy. But what's it doing? It's amplifying, and that's what these stadiums are doing. They're amplifying this emotion, this sound, and these beings, just like I was explaining about these wearable enhanced things, body, they call body wearables. They utilize the same science. They harness electrical conductivity, okay, to power.
Is it like the Flash?
When you say the Flash, what do you mean? That's gone into a Marvel and DC. Yeah.
You need food to energy.
Right.
But that your food conducts is power.
Right.
And his suit.
Yeah.
Similar to his suit, kind of when we wear the suit. Almost like that kind of power comes through the suit.
Basically based on his bones, yeah, because you're creating an electric, you're harnessing, exactly, that suit is harnessing that power, it's charging that power. So extraterrestrials, this is why sometimes you see extraterrestrials flying over or being spotted over stadiums and arenas, is because what essentially what they're doing is they're harnessing. Hello?
Acoustics. It's now acoustics. I mean, I'm just adding there because I'm doing, so I understand engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Precisely. Thank you very much for somebody clarifying, backing it up. So this
that's why they build those arenas, because of the sound, the vibration, because they want to enhance the energy within the performance.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that, Mr. Messina. So so this enhancement of energy, this magnitude of energy is actually being harnessed by extraterrestrials. You know what I'm saying? To power either their vehicles or to power other things, because unbeknown to us, we don't know this science. You know what I'm saying? We just go to a nice day out, family and friends, enjoy the concerts, etc. All right, so let me continue reading, and you can ask your question. So the same way they can tap into radio signals, the tendons, a Greek word tanin, is as you see close to tanan, tenun, to stretch in Greek. These are any of the inelastic cords of tough connective tissue by which muscles are attached to the atamat bones. And you know, Musbatu Sabians, that inside the bone is the seat of Hayeh, life, in the Daman blood. So this is what they're seeking. They're seeking that ether, yeah, that natural ether energy, all right, that's inside of us and also inside of other beings or other children that are on the planet or other species, okay, of humanoids. That inside the bones, the sea of Hayah, life, in the Daman blood, the marrow, Old English merg, the soft fatty tissue that fills the cavities of most bones and cleanse the Daman blood within 6 to 9 weeks. So the tendons are in fact composed of twisted collections of collagen fibers. Collagen is a fibrous protein in bone and cartilage. So in hakak fact, the tendons are composed of a twisted collection of collagen bundles, each one composed of collagen fibers. Collagen fibers are composed of collagen fibrils. Fibrils or fibrillation, Latin fibra, cord. Fibrils are assembles of molecules secreted outside of specialized connective tissue cells called fibroblasts. Connective tissue fibers are arranged in highly regular arrays. I said this thing went a bit awkward when I was scanning it. So yeah, so if you can see the tendons and the collagen and how it works and how smaller and smaller it gets, yeah, all the way down to the collagen fibril, okay? Highly regular parallel array of molecules, whether it's in a liquid or solid form, is called a balar, crystal. The word in English crystal is from Greek crystallos, ice-like, krios, frost. These collagenous molecules in which all your organs are encased function as a system of liquid crystals. So you know anything about crystals, crystals are used, just what I'm saying, to power things, all right? Like your watches, like the quartz crystal, like quartz watches and things like that. Crystals, which are, so the collagenous molecules in which your organs are encased functions as a system of liquid crystals. Crystals, which are highly ordered array of molecules, are found in several different kinds of tissues. Including the DNA in Yachasat genes, the photosensitive rod and cone Sayat cells at the back of the iron eye, the myelin sheath of nerve cell, the collagen molecules that make up connective tissue, muscle tissues, densely packed molecules of actin and myosin, the phospholipids of cell membranes. Bala'at crystals conduct radio waves and are semiconductors. This crystalline structure of the collagen molecules that make up Muhammad human connective tissue is a semiconductor. Each Salah race, Lawan color, Waba hair, Napi kinki, or Farah fur texture is unalike in many ways. Each has their own station or wavelength of communications of tones and waves, colors, and sawat sounds that affect the Damag brain, and as such, the emotional state of Akal mind. So, in fact, semiconductors are not only able to conduct Nashat energy, they conduct outformation into information. So again, the importance of the chanting, the importance of doing certain things, because what's happening is you're able to actually conduct energy, which is pulling outformation into information, into your being, okay? If you are well connected to your station, to your own station, you can actually receive messages from your ancestors in your radio, or which is known as your head, you know what I'm saying, which is a constructed of, a skull, and that skull is linked to the thalamus. Your thalamus in your brain is actually the radio, like the antenna in your brain, okay, it's known as the thalamus. And many other abilities, other properties, semiconductors are able to store Nashat energy, even amplify signals, filter information, and move in one direction, yet in another, and yet not in another. So emotions, energy equals energy, E equals N equals energy, motions equals movement. Yeah, going back to, again, the scenario with the stadiums, etc., and people chanting and moving and music in these massive arenas. Okay, this is what it's doing. It's literally charging and it being collected and harvested. Yes, my brother.
You need to like that one.
Not really. Are you all right to see?
No,
okay. Even the sound of a person's voice, just as the roar of a lion or gunshot, for a person to raise their voice at you also affects your emotional state of mind. Anger affects your whole khatat body and damag brain, emotional reactions and actions. So in fact, the connective tissue system can also process information into information, making you a receiver. So it has two types of things going on. You can actually receive and you can send. You can also, your body can also be harnessed to send by other beings who can use your energy for their purposes. Okay? You as a Nagar Nadu Negroids are linked to the Kale Makwan Art Omniverse, the nine-mind deity of deities, and your connective tissue system is suited for the task of conveying both energy and information into information because it connects every part of your Mukwan being to Khatat body to every other part. Yeah, so this is what beings are able to do. If they know, for instance, that you're religious, if anybody here know about religion and you go into church, especially black churches, yeah, they love to strum up and beat the drum and all of these and cymbals and all of that and moving and shaking and they're creating that energy. You with me? And you're becoming a conduit for beings to actually come in and harness that energy or for you to be opened up for them to walk into you. Okay, so this is what's taking place in the churches and other places around the world. All right. That pretty much is that. Yeah, it goes up to there. So to control you, they, the Mudwa'u, therefore must have you trust them. What they say, how they say it, what they look like, how they look at you, etc. Okay, so that is essentially the short class on bones and you as a human tuning fork. Any questions on that or anything else? I'll open up class now.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, Rahubat Zamata.
Hello, hi.
Turn the light.
Yeah, you mentioned about movement and being a frequency and energy. But I don't think a lot of people talk about when we talk about meditation because everyone's always saying about sitting down in one space and closing your eyes like the Buddhists do. But I think as Black people, we don't get information that way. We're supposed to be moving and dancing with drums because that's the way you talk about 90th energy. That's how it works, isn't it? Because if we sit in one space, you talk about moving the body, we're not going to get the information to come into information because the ancestors used to dance with drums and stuff like that. Isn't that the case?
That's part of it, yes. But also the reason for the sitting still is so that the information can come in at a gradual, you see what I'm saying, and seep in a more harmonious vibratory state. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's good to actually be seated in that state to receive messages.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I thought the
yeah.
sitting. I thought. I mean, because being from Africa, you do the dance and the drums.
Yeah.
Then you get the automation in. Then you sit down. Meditate. So you.
Yeah. So if you're talking about but it's still the sitting is still part of it. That's why I said you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I wouldn't say that you're wrong. The chanting, the movement, and all of these things, and the movement of drumming and dancing, that's part of it because you're actually activate. I mean, we've talked about the movement and how it generates, you know what I mean, the piezoelectrical effect and how you can receive affirmation. But it's the relaxation as well is very important. Do you know what I mean? Be able to learn to relax and attune yourself inwardly. Because remember, it's about going inside yourself.
Yeah, you just clarify because you said about people dancing and moving in churches and stuff. I'm just saying that the dancing and moving we should do first, then is the sitting afterwards, not the sitting first, because you're not going to get enough information when you're sitting down as 9 ether beings just from the study. That's what I'm saying.
No. There's not a wrong or right way. I understand what you're saying, but the moving aspect is more to do with that you're generating electrical current. Do you understand? Yeah, so that's fine. But there's also times where you just need that peace and that tranquility by sitting still. Yeah, sitting still and also taking in what the universe has to give you. So there's nothing wrong with that either. So it's a vice versa thing. There's no wrong or right about it.
Can I add to it?
Yes, my sister.
Yeah, some people
I
put it
think-
like power up. So it's like
Sorry, could you use the mic?
like in terms of what she's talking about, like
So
yeah, in terms of what you're talking about, the movement of an activation of the spirit through movement and a drum beat is also like people might call it like a power up. So it's about powering your spirit up and grounding it so that you can receive. So I feel like as long as you did some power up, like if you had wanted movement and attunement before you do that, then that's what kind of
that's what I'm saying. It's both exactly, yeah. You're not wrong, sister.
Is important.
Yeah, I agree. So there's nothing wrong with what you said. So you're not incorrect. What I'm saying is that there's times also when you need that powering down aspect as opposed to powering up. You powered up, power down, receive. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with it.
I think it depends. Sorry, I think as well it depends on your situation, what you're trying to achieve, the state where you are. So I myself as well as African, it's like there's a way where you wanna go like to fight. There's a certain tones and songs that you sing to go and fight, and there are certain songs that you sing to receive and be humble.
That's right.
So it depends on your intention, on your mind, what exactly that you're trying to achieve at that time. So when you find the right tone.
No, you're quite right.
Tone,
that's what I'm saying. This is where, when we're talking about our animism works both ways. So there are times when you need that solitude or even, like you said, or even the singing aspect. It's not always about just agitation, even though we do need to agitate ourselves to create certain frequencies and vibrations. There's also time when the singing and the vocalization in a harmonious way also helps as well. But yes, it's not a right or wrong way. Yeah.
It's about what you want to achieve at that time, in those circumstances.
Exactly.
Yes. So you need to find the right frequency.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. So there's a question in the class, yes.
Said that meditation is the art of listening without talking.
That's right. That's what I said. It's not a wrong or right or wrong thing.
In terms of saying that, how do you know it's the right spirit if you're doing all this?
How do you know what's the right spirit?
I'm saying the singing, the like you just said.
Yeah. Because of the frequencies that you're using. So that's why I said that most different races have different frequencies and vibration. So if you have a Dravidian who be doing their natural instruments and their natural tones, etc., that's working for them. So they will know that it's working for them in that aspect.
Bearing in mind, we've gone way off. That people come.
Some of us have transitioned into yoga and things like that. Yeah.
Therefore, you don't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's your own self. So therefore, that also enhances your being, who you really are. If you're basically conjuring a being from
another race or another. For real,
all that kind of
or that those particular aspects of that culture won't work for you. Just what I'm saying. So you could be there mantraing all as much as you like, but because you're not on the right frequency and vibration, it won't work for you. Why? If with the tones that have been prescribed for us is FAC. Just what I'm saying. So that will work for the Nagaru race. And then you got other races who they whether it's on the same note but on a different frequency or whatever the case may be. I found that there's a particular word for it. But if they're on that frequency, it worked for them. Just what I'm saying, but it won't work for you. Just like calling on these tones, God, Allah, Jehovah, and these things. One way they can help to keep you enslaved, or they'll hinder you, or they won't help you. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's in their interest when you are chanting and those things. You're not actually helping you, you're helping them. You know what I mean? To keep power over you. But yeah.
I think you're feeling it.
Sorry. Any more questions on that or anything else?
I read in one of the books that with the tuning fork,
Yeah.
you have to hold it in a specific hand when using it. Is that correct?
Things the left hand, I remember, if I remember right, or I can't remember. Yeah, don't quote me on that. But yeah, there is a hand that you hold it in. Just what I'm saying.
Is there a reason for that?
It's to do with polarity. So if you go, let me go back to the slide. You have an anode and a cathode. Yeah, the cathode is the minus and the anode is a positive. So the reason for that is that when the chanting takes place, those electrical charges swap sides. Do you understand? So this is why you hold in the, I think you hold it in the cathode in order for, sorry, so in the anode in order for this to become a cathode. But let me find the slide. So if you look at the diagram of the bone, okay, you can see so yeah, you can see the pressure, and as you can see, you got the negative on one side, and you have the positive on one side. Yeah, but as you start the process, yeah, one's known as a, I'm pretty sure the negative's a cathode. Let's just look it up because I don't want to misquote. Because you go an anode and a cathode. So let's just go into do a quick research.
Is it like north and south as well? When you use magnets, it's the same.
Yeah, similar thing. That creates an electrical field. That's right. Yeah. So anode and cathode. Right, and then you see images.
What is the pressure?
Sorry? It's a very, very minute pressure that you can put on there. It doesn't actually, I haven't found any type, but there's different types of pressures that you can put on there to rearrange the molecular structure.
Is it like atmospheric or mentally affected?
It's a physical, mechanical pressure. Is that what you're asking? It's a mechanical pressure, yeah, that you put.
I'm trying to understand in terms of your physical as a person, but not scientifically as like
It's
in
just
engineering.
let me just bring up the anode and cathode for the gentleman, and then okay, yeah, the cathode is the positive. All right, so this is what's taking place. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so you have the electrolytic cell, literally like your bones sit in water. You're with me, and they're a mineralized liquid mineral crystal structure. And what's taking place as the pressure is being applied, okay, is literally changing from the anode to the cathode. Yeah, and that's what's creating electricity. All right.
Electromagnetic force.
Sorry, say that again.
Electromagnetic force.
Tua, yes. Let's jump back into the image. Right. So yeah, so that's if you can now understand that what's taking place in your bones when that's happening. Okay. Need to switch the light back on for us, Zama? Any more questions?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So there's a question in the classroom, and then I'll come to you.
Actually, what I was trying to ask before is about, we have some videos people normally share on YouTube on healing.
Yes. Okay.
And sound healing.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen some people on, I also use some on learning.
Okay.
There's some 413 frequency, all those different frequencies used to deep learning or to focus, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've seen some on healing particularly. And some of them, they use live stream. Each time you go there, they always live.
Okay.
So my question now, if I go with the principle of nothing is free, then are you being, because if it is free, then you're paying in a way.
Hmm.
That's my, and I've seen that principle to be true. And so I'm now curious, or is there a formula of them generating or balancing their books? Because nobody gives anything free.
Okay, what's your question?
My question is there an agenda behind what is being shared? Is it purely free, or maybe you're being, because like basically, let me use a common example. When we get things on Play Store, you're paying with your data.
Yeah, okay.
And you're also paying by you're sharing your information.
Right, okay, yeah.
If you look at it from a point of view.
Yeah.
Then using that principle and the concept of nothing is free, then if you're not getting something from YouTube.
Okay, I'm with you.
Are you,
what is the agenda behind that? I honestly,
or are you being free?
Right. Well, it all depends on, well, like I said, we said to you that, or we've explained, the human body for you as an Agaru works off certain frequencies, certain tones. That's the F, A, and C. So if you are being invited onto a YouTube channel, live one, streaming, you have to ask yourself, what is the tone and vibration that they're emitting? It may sound pleasant, you with me? But what's the actual tone and vibration and frequency? Which is it aligning to? Is it aligning you to those beings, or is it aligning to your ancestors? So if you're talking about nothing is free, that's the question you have to really pose. You with me? And what is that tone? Is that tone beneficial, or is it detrimental to your being and to your connection to them? Does that make sense? Yeah. We have our methods, or we have our practices, we have our spiritual classes where you can come for free and learn about your tones and vibrations and frequencies for free. The agenda is that you link in with your ancestors for free. You see what I'm saying? So you have an avenue and a place that you can meet on a Thursday to do that. Does that make sense? All right. But if you go, so I see you, sister. But if you go to anywhere else, I can't guarantee that. And I won't be able to explain their agenda.
Healing frequencies.
Sorry?
For healing frequencies.
For healing frequencies too. Yeah. Some will do the FAC because there are C notes, etc. You with me online that you can get. You know that the rate and frequencies are 512, etc. So you have to do your diligent studies. You have to look at the frequencies. Is it A440? Or is it A432 or C42? You see what I'm saying? You have to look at these things and then also start to understand the African body and how our body works, because we vibrate faster and we have stronger genes, etc. So you have to understand these things that's happening to you. And remember, is it healing you? That's the most important thing. Is it healing you? Or is it causing disruption in your being? You will only know that the more you practice it or attend it. Okay. Sorry, my sister. Yeah, you have a question.
Yeah, well, I'm going to add to it because personally, I do healing work myself.
Okay.
And I've trained in different disciplines. And in the community, I wouldn't just say healing, just in business, we exchange. So before there was money, you can just exchange. So you can say, I'm going to add value to you as a human, and you're going to add value to me as a human being. So energy can be exchanged. That's why we have trade and exchange in general. So like you say, it's knowing what vibration you want to exchange with. I think that's important. And then second of all, now that people just want to heal people, there's a lots of benevolent spirits out there that just want to help wake up people and get people away from trauma. And so with the online community, people do not have to pay for spaces. They don't need to pay for venues. So lots of people are offering free online services.
Because they just want to help.
And then the third avenue is that the ancient shamans, if that when the knowledge came, they said you have to exchange something in order to receive. So back in the day, it might be a piece of fruit, it could be a button, an item. So obviously online, you can't exchange anything physical, so it will be something. So people usually make a donation. If somebody's offering something for free, most people make a donation. Just
Cash out
the person that's given there. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, so yeah, I understand. Does that make sense? Right. You're talking about, are you talking about energy, or you're talking about?
It's also
right.
Energy is also involved.
Yeah.
Like most popular music.
Yeah.
Most pop music.
Yeah.
Some of those music is all the brain, and those things, like usually your first cigarette will be given to you free of charge.
Okay.
Next time you're gonna use your earn money to buy it.
Right.
And it applies to drugs and alcohol and everything. So
so once you're hooked, you're saying?
Yeah. So
yeah, right?
I meaning just to be on the guard. I know what she's saying, as in you give back to nature, which is good. But I know generally people's intentions are not so pure. I get it. So you have to like. That's what I'm trying to say to be sure.
Okay. Fair enough. Any questions online? On Clubhouse, Jose, you have a question?
Yes, Rabobat Zaman.
Rahubat, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
My brother, actually, I had a question prepared for the class. And I ended up getting into class halfway through, 30 minutes late because of the time zones. We were waiting here for 9 p.m.
Oh, okay, the time, the close of guns,
So, I'm not pretty sure if you have touched to it. So I have two questions prepared from the Patarak all expanding.
Go ahead.
One of the questions apparently is related with what is being discussed, which is how do beings be fed by souls and worship, and how does that work? I heard you speaking about it, but I didn't get it clearly. That's the first question. And the second one from the same Patarak all expanding is what a female can do to gain back the control after having more than 4 intimate partners.
What are you? Is that a question or is what's stated in Patarak?
It's a. I'm asking a question because at Patarak, all expanding from verse 29 to 139 to 132, it says that the women can lose control or loses control after she has 4 mates. My question is, how can she get the control back after this stage? That's the second question.
Right. Okay. So
the first one is regarding the beings being fed by souls, which I think you mentioned about it.
Yeah. So you remember we're talking about energy here. So we know that. Oh, hold on a second. I'll just make somebody in. Have they been let in? I think so. Right. So your the soul portion of you, okay, is, as we know, is energy, and that we talked through the class that energy can be harnessed. Right. Now, these beings that are operating to harness your soul or your energy to the point where you lose your soul to them, okay, is why they've created the churches and the mosques and all of these things that our people frequent. Is because once they enter, they become that human tuning fork, okay, where your energy is depleted on a day by day, week by week, month by month. It's not, doesn't have an open overnight, but essentially what they're doing is they're depleting your soul to the point where you're just living on spirit. Okay. So as I was explaining earlier, that not everybody here, okay, operates on soul. Everybody can have a spirit, but not everybody has a soul. And that soul portion is what some of these beings are looking for, purely because they know that the soul has a great amount of power. Okay. And they do this through the religions. They do this through the rituals that people attend, concerts, and going out to late night parties, and staying up late at night watching unsavory things, and all of these other aspects. What is doing on a day-by-day basis is actually sapping your soul energy. Okay. And this is designed in this way. Television is part of that design, because as you're staring at the TV, you are taking in that light vision. That light is also a form of them being able to encode into your mind's eye their images. Because remember, when light's coming at you, it's in form of encoding, and it's at a frequency, they call it 60 hertz or 50 hertz. Yeah, that's the frequency that they go. If you look on your TV and you check it, it'll actually say 50 or 60 hertz. Those hertz are frequencies that these colors are designed to come into your mind's eye, and what your mind's eye is coming in at a digital frequency, yeah, modulation. And those digital modulation frequencies, what is happening is being converted into electrical signals, okay? And as we were explaining earlier, these electrical signals are being then used by your DNA, okay, to rewrite you, either you know, obviously TV-wise, is rewriting your DNA, it's re-encoding your genetics. So now you start to live in the image and likeness of other than yourself and kind. And that's what's happening when you are exposed to all of these different aspects of you know, extraterrestrials and what they want to do in order to control. Or it really goes back to extraterrestrial, because you're looking at your establishment like the governments and, you know, people in power. But these people in power, like the Luciferians or the Illuminati and all of these different titles or positions, that actually pay their homage to extraterrestrials. That's what it goes down to. And these extraterrestrials are known as the Pleiadians, Arcturians, Arconians, and what's the other one? Anunnaki. Yeah, these are the four main ones that are literally seeping or sapping. And then you also have other reptilians or dragonians who they all work on behalf of, okay? Because they seek energy, which is known as evil, what's it called? Natural evil energy is what they're looking for. And they can create that each time they expose us to so many different mediums, you know, whether it be television, music, etc. These different mediums have the ability to affect our DNA, or also have the ability to what's the word I'm looking for? Process energy, electrical energy, which can then be harnessed by them. Okay, so that's what's taking place. Now, in relation to the female having more than 4 partners, when a female...
Sorry? Before you move to the next answer,
yeah.
How do we distinguish the frequencies and notes?
When you say distinguish, okay, like what
ones
happens?
that are...
Okay, when you're watching television, right?
Yes.
And you have a television advert or the music that's been played within the television program, you can tell by the pitch and the frequency. Most of the time it's guitar music or something loud and brash. You with me? It's called discordance, yeah? Dissonance. That's a dissonance frequency. Anything that's supposed to be melodic or harmonious shouldn't have a real effect on you to the point where you can't concentrate, because it's actually affecting the cells of your body. Do you know what I mean? It's called a dissonance frequency. So sometimes you get like high-pitched guitar, strumming. Most of the music that children's TV programs, if you listen to it, is very high-pitched, loud. You with me? Very fast. These are the ways that you're able to distinguish something that's not as harmful to you to something that's more less harmful. I wouldn't say it's harmonious, because most of the music is not tuned to our frequency. Yeah, it's, if anything, is actually designed to destroy or keep us in an agitated state. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It's not by mistake why most of us, we gave up watching TV for decades now. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Zamal, can you share which scroll we can go through in order to dive into this topic of frequencies and notes?
Okay, that's called Actual Facts 18, Tones, Sounds, Frequencies, and DNA. Yeah, Actual Fact 18. You can also find it in the Mind's Eye.
Okay.
And many other places as well. There's quite a few places the master teacher. Designer, intelligent design, divine design, and plot of aliens goes a lot into that as well. And Man from Planet Risk.
Okay.
That goes to like the music and how beings can ride in the musical, the wavelength of music. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Right. So, would you like the answer to your next question?
Yes, please. Yeah. On the first one, I'm okay. Thanks. The next question
Okay.
related to... the female.
I won't keep it too long. But what's taking place is when a female, okay, if you can find this in the Gospel of Yanun, yeah, to the sacred feminine, he goes a lot into how a female's DNA gets scrambled, okay, after having more than 1, 2, 3, 4 partners. And because she is the mitochondrial lineage, she carries the heritage, okay, of our race. When that DNA becomes scrambled, okay, she's no longer able to produce high intelligent children, etc. It's compromised. At the same time, every time a woman lies down with a male, okay, and she says she loves him, etc., all these things, she's actually learned her divinity. She gives up a portion of her divinity, yeah? And a woman's divinity is her mind, okay, and other aspects of her, of being a feminine, a sacred feminine, and a deity, a goddess. So every time she does that, she's actually giving up her divinity as a goddess. And when she reaches the state where she's have more than 4 partners, in the Gospel of Yanun, it talks about how, because she's had acquired so many different DNAs within her being, it affects her mental state. And in that affecting her mental state, she can have a hatred towards men, or she might even look masculine, you know, and not just herself, she can pass those traits down to her children, her female children. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for her to get back to her divinity, she would have to do certain rituals. Okay, and there's certain there's the OES, Order of the Eastern Stars. That's a particular school where certain rituals are taught to females. Okay, but at the same time, if she doesn't join that order, there's certain things that, I mean, abstaining from certain things. You know what I mean? Doing a cleansing bath, sage, and Palo de Santo. Those are things that you can also do. One thing about the female, because she menstruates, she's also able to actually rejuvenate herself. But she must abstain from certain practices until she's able to rejuvenate herself and become that divine being that she is again. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, somehow it does make sense. You mentioned in order to get back the control, because that was the question, she has to go to certain rituals. You mentioned Easter stars. That's a order.
That's a what, sorry?
That's an order.
That's an order, yeah. The Order of the Eastern Stars. This was we have 2 orders, and much more within our clan or within our tribe or nation. We have the Brotherhood Order and we have the Sisterhood Order. So the Blue House is the Brotherhood Order, and then we have the Order of the Eastern Stars, which is the White House. Okay, so within those 2 orders, there's certain things that are shared and taught amongst the brothers and also amongst the sisters. You with me? We are not privy to them. Okay, they're not privy to our information, and we're not privy to their information. These orders, okay, weren't set up by Partner Bab Yanun just from here. These are actually orders that came from the stars originally. It's actually brought to this planet by our ancestors. So when our ancestors incarnated, they brought certain things with them. So when you go into Orion, okay, and Sirius, the Sirius star system is where the females come from. And the males come from the Orion star system. Okay? But when they came to this planet, they actually set up certain orders, certain schools. So for instance, when you're hearing the word Osiris or Osir or Asar, the word Asaru, when you hear the word U at the end of any, or Haru, or you know, any of these at the end of it, that denotes a school.
Okay.
You understand? So the school of Asaru, you will learn certain things. In the school of Haru, you learn certain things, etc., etc. Okay?
Okay, well noted. Thanks. And on top of that, also I wanted to clarify, you mentioned that the female also has to abstain for certain, I guess, activities. What are those
Yes.
activities?
Sexual activities,
Okay.
you know, keeping her mind sane, you know what I mean, doing certain practices. Also, what Partner Babylon explained in the Gospel to the Sacred Feminine, the computer, okay, was an idea that was given by Partner Tharu to man as an idea. And the female was supposed to actually take this and utilize it, okay, because actually it greatly enhances her. And then there's also within that part of the explanation, he explains also about you have something called the two brains. You got the analytical brain, and then you got the oh gosh, I need to read it. Hold on a second. Let me find it and I'll read it.
Okay.
Let me just find.
As you look for it, when you mentioned the
Gospel of Yanunde.
Yeah, when you mentioned the cleansing, can we find anything on the shot for cleansing for the bath? There's anything available there, or it has to be specific inside the orders?
Oh no, you can find something in the shot for cleansing.
Okay, all right.
Quite a few things for cleansing, yeah. I mean, you have like bitter drinks and stuff like that, which you can drink because it's essentially cleansing the blood. And we know that that's where the spirit and the soul, not the soul, the spirit and the ether is in the blood. And once you cleanse that, it allows, you know, the connection with your ancestors are much more given rate and flow, as opposed to it being clogged up, okay? Because you have so many different voices that are being influencing us or influencing the female, you know what I mean, when she has more than one, multiple, two, multiple partners, okay?
Okay.
Let me just
that creates a follow-up question, by the way.
Okay, go ahead.
Which is, we are speaking about the female, so what would be the effect of multiple partners for a male?
Likewise, the same thing. It's the same thing. It's
same number, everything.
Yeah, what happens is that for the female, because she's an internal being, she absorbs things. As a male, we're external. It's representative of the phallus and the vagina, just what I'm saying, because she takes things in. And because she takes things in, and she's also a complete being. The reason why she's a complete being, she has those telomeres, okay? She got the X chromosomes, which are complete in itself. And then you also have the telomeres, which are on the chromosomes, which act like the caps. Those telomeres, okay, are responsible for rejuvenation. So when a male now, who is an infestation, passing on his genes into her, she gets infected, okay? And it can affect the telomeres from regenerating properly.
Okay.
Yeah, likewise, the male being an imperfect being in the form of gender, he has X amount of one telomere which is missing, or should I say 3 telomeres really, on his Y chromosome, which was originally X that was maimed. You see? So being that the male is maimed and him being an external being, he doesn't absorb things as much as the female does. So his rituals also, they're similar to abstain, cleansing himself, etc. Okay, abstaining from partners and those kind of aspects as well. But it's not the same. The female can actually hold a male's energy for up to 7 to 9 years. Do you understand?
That's why we need to protect.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we need to protect our females, especially our children, our daughters, because in protecting them and teaching them about their DNA, they won't be susceptible to going out with any man that they meet. And then in the West, when you're 16 or 18, you can have multiple partners and all of these things, leading to promiscuity, leading to diseases, leading to birth, you know, the what's it called? The increase in birth rate, all of these aspects. Does that make sense?
Sure, yes, very much.
Let me just find
Understood.
Is that someone speaking with you or somebody else? on the
Is somebody else on the call?
Okay, sorry, could you mute your mic, please? Because it's. Are there any questions while I look for this thing? Any questions at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
How many spouse or wives the man meant to have?
A man's meant to have as many.
And what are the consequences for having those?
What are the consequences?
All the pros and cons.
I can't list all the pros and cons. Okay, but it's not necessarily that there's a consequence in negativity, because you can have a marriage, you see what I'm saying, where if a male is with a female, in order to seek another female into the marriage, everything needs to be known about her. Does that make sense? Yeah, so they have to know the family history, etc. And also the female has to agree. So in our culture, it's not about, oh, I just want a male, female, and that's it, I'm gonna have children with her, or it's about agreement. The female, that she'll be the head matriarch. So you have to have a discussion with her and have the reasons. Like in ancient times, it could be for health reasons, it could be for, just what I'm saying, biological reasons. There's different aspects as to why in our culture we took on another mate. Do you know what I mean? Or another female, or female will take on another man. Do you understand? Because it does happen. Like you go to the Akan tradition, the Akan females in the tree, the Shanti females can take more than one, especially the Queen Mother. Yeah, and then also you got other tribes who can also take more than one male. I think in South America, you got certain tribes there who can take more than one male. So it's all about what is he. She might want more children with that particular person, but it has to be an agreement being made between the two, or the party. Do you know what I mean? As to what they're going to do. It's all about responsibility. It's not just about, I'm lusting for her, so I want her because she's got a nice whatever. Do you understand? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think this is the book. Hold on a sec. This is pages, isn't it? Oh, this is not it. It's not fair. Any other questions? Go ahead.
You're saying the spirit is in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
But people in hospitals who receive blood transfusions, does it mix their spirit, or does it?
Literally, yeah. It's when you have somebody who goes for blood transfusion, obviously understanding the biology and whether they're compatible. Yeah. But as I was saying earlier to the sister, they never or do not really appreciate or consider the etheric or energy aspect. Just what I'm saying, because the spirit has the personality, you see, of a person. And understanding that aspect is when you're taking a blood transfusion, you're also going to inherit that person's characteristics. You with me? It may be for a short period of time. The body might reject it because it's not compatible, but it's going to affect them. They even show you in some horror movies where one person's arm got amputated, you know what I mean, or leg, and then they have an arm replaced, and then that arm was an arm of a like a machete, some guy who was killing people, and then all of a sudden it takes over that person, and they start doing it, yeah, or their thinking starts to change because the spirit's in the blood, and the spirit's linked to your personality. Does that make sense? Yeah, and hence people do what they do, but it's not for a long duration because it can then subside. Okay, or there's a rejection in compatibility.
Clarify also.
Mm-hmm.
Some people didn't get mixed up with spirit and soul.
Okay.
Soul is in spirit.
Okay. Anybody confused? Before I clarify, or you just want me to clarify? Clarify. Yeah. So you have in our teachings, Wu-Sabat. Wu-Sabat has you have a double portion. You have your spirit, which is the spirit that is conceived or grows with the child when the sperm and the ovum meet. Okay, that's one form of spirit. Okay, and that's known as nafs. Okay, then you have another form of spirit known as ka'a, and that ka'a is your known as your it's your energy double from your soul. It's like your soul has an energy double, and that energy double is the ka'a, okay, which is your personality. So you have the characteristics and you have the personality. You with me? One aspect of the spirit is that it's your creative side as well. It's your conscious side. All right. Then you have, from that, you have your soul, and your soul, you have two portions of soul. You have ruach, which is the breath of life, okay, which everybody receives, that breath of life. And then you also have the ba'ah, which is your conscious self. Okay, so there's a dual portion that you receive, which is not really explained or addressed in modern society because they don't know about it. Or the, should I say, the higher echelons of society will probably know about it, but they don't teach it to everyone. So once you understand that there's a duality taking place, when you are taking on somebody's spirit, that's the ka'a. Sorry, that's the nafs. You with me? The personality. Okay? And that personality can then also affect the way you think and behave. Okay? Does that make sense now to everybody? What experience? Yeah.
Is that the only means of taking over other people's spirits?
Is that the only means? No, that's not the only means. The other means, that was because obviously that's the blood transfusion aspect.
If one has to do blood transfusion because maybe due to
put the mic, sorry, yeah.
Due to circumstance beyond his control.
Put it on, so I don't think it's on.
Due to circumstance beyond his control, probably an accident.
Yes, right, yeah.
And he has now taken the transfusion.
Yeah.
Is that something he can do to nullify the effect of?
Yeah, precisely.
Part of.
The thing is, with blood transfusion, they might have to go back and keep redoing it, just something, because the body to one point will get intolerance and then it will start to reject it. So they have to keep taking medication in order for that cell or biology, the physiology, to actually communicate and work together in synergy with each other. You understand? But within our practices, all we can show people and explain to people is that once you're understanding this and you have a certain spiritual practice that you do, that can also be beneficial. You see what I'm saying? In being able to subdue those things that can manifest. You understand? Those thoughts, etc. But unfortunately, once you've had a blood transfusion, it's not much you can really avoid. It's not something you can like go back and say, I want, you know, I mean, a new blood, etc. Because it's just something that's happened. Yeah. Until your blood starts to kick in and take over and become stronger, at that point, because you've had that blood transfusion, you're going to get those personalities coming through.
You've not answered the question. Although I've heard of instances in which a white guy took blood transfusion from a black guy. I start liking black music.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's true. But what I'm saying is, I'm also always of the opinion that there is always a solution for everything.
Okay.
But that the cost may be different. It may be expensive to get a solution. It may be, I guess, maybe the person is not willing to pay the price, but there's always a solution.
Well, you have to find someone compatible in your family if there's a solution. The solution will be finding somebody who's compatible in your family, who shares the same blood link as you. You see what I'm saying? Having a transfusion, at least then you're linked into your spiritual
and
relatives.
Believe with you.
Yeah. And who?
And also similar beliefs.
That's right. Yeah. Because all of that has an impact on your mental state, your well-being. You see what I'm saying? How you view things. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there is a solution, but at what cost, like you're saying? And the cost is that you either, after the blood transfusion, after a certain amount of months, when your blood starts to kick in and get stronger, you will have those traits, or you find somebody who's compatible in your blood pool, in your gene pool, that will be able to give you the blood transfusion. Yeah. All right. Okay, I am trying to find this one. Any other questions while I try to find this book? On Zoom or Clubhouse?
What's the risk of giving like a blood test and the health system?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Say that part again.
What's the risk of giving a blood test?
What's the risk of giving a blood test?
Yes, in the health system.
Well, what the master teachers explained to us is that nowadays you've got a lot of ancestry.com companies, do you know what I mean, or genetic companies who are looking for certain blood types because they're looking for certain genetic markers. So within the system that we now currently use, like the NHS, where they ask you for blood, samples in order to do certain tests. Okay. Yeah. If logic, logic be the reasoning, is quite possible that it's sent off for genetic markers to be, but I'll be guessing, and we're not here to really guess. You with me? If all you have to do is either refuse it or they have to find another alternative way of them finding out what's either wrong with you or what they can use as an alternative way of curing you. Yeah, but for me to say that they're like these ancestry.com, we're looking for genetic markers, I'll be guessing. What the masters explain is that during the time when they set up these blood banks, okay, these blood banks were purely one of the reasons because they're modern day vampires. You with me? And these modern day vampires, within the blood of our Nagaru DNA,
that's where my concern is. Yeah.
Okay. What we have in a high abundance of something called
sorry to get out of the topic, but thank you for
no, it's fine. I just lost the name of the
plasma.
Plasma, thank you. Thank you, Sakamta. Rahubat to you. Yeah. So plasma, we have a high concentration of plasma in our blood. Okay. And these antibodies, sorry?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So these antibodies, okay, that are very prevalent in us because we have a high energy output in the form of natural ether energy. Yeah. So this natural ether energy is what moves in our body. And because we're soul beings, we have a very high concentration of potent ether. And that ether is in the blood plasma. Okay. So if the reason why all these foods and processed foods and drinks, etc., we're eating it, is actually destroying our plasma. And in destroying our plasma, it compromises our defense system. Hence, when COVID came about, because our defense system has been compromised, we were very susceptible to a lot of the diseases or susceptible to COVID because we were very in close proximity to a lot of patients. If you go and study about the NHS, majority of us are either nurses or phlebotomists, or we're taking blood samples, etc. So, but unbeknown to us is that when we were contracting this COVID virus, one, because many of us have actually mixed in with the Mukasu in over the 400-year period, so we have his DNA in us or his blood type in us, and secondly is because when we've compromised ourselves because of our diet. Yeah, we don't eat the foods that we used to normally eat. Now we're eating more European type food. Okay, a majority of us are now eating junk food, and junk food has a high concentration of sugars and all kinds of artificial components to it. And all of these things, what it's doing is destroying the DNA and destroying and depleting your blood plasma. Okay.
I hear.
Okay, so people think twice when you give a blood transfusion when you go to the hospital, because they're taking your blood, put it in the blood bank, and possibly, I mean, you get to the point where you can be cloned, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's where my concern came, because I've never been someone that had any problems, but when I went there, they were really concerned. And,
yeah. You've watched.
Thank
You've
you.
watched. You're welcome. You've watched. They've cloned Tyrone, right?
I've watched everything, and just like
Okay. Everyone
the
watched it here.
master,
They've cloned
no,
Tyrone.
the master teacher has been really brilliant for me. I'm not going to lie. And
Okay. Okay.
I
That's a
really appreciate.
blessing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I appreciate everything, everything. That's why I'm just coming with questions. But like I say,
Okay.
yeah, thank you for everything.
You're most welcome. You're welcome. Can you talk about? There's a question in the chat says, can you talk about negative O blood type? What would you like to know? Negative O blood type is a blood type. The original blood types on the planet from the Garu were positive blood types. The original blood types from extraterrestrials was negative blood type. But now there's been a lot of mixture. So it depends on what question you're trying to ask, because it's just that you just have a blood type. Yeah, but essentially, these original blood types, we didn't have negative blood type originally. We had positive blood types originally, yeah, from our ancestors. And then through the mixing in is where we inherited different blood types, because you're mixed talking about Mukasu, Dravidian, Mangalu, or Asians, Chinese, Caucasians, and Nagaru, who when DNA comes together, when the DNA splits, okay, and then crosses over to form another child or another specimen of DNA, that child will inherit from both sides of the family. So in the fact that they're inheriting from both sides of the family, they may inherit a blood type from that gene pool, which might not necessarily be an African gene pool. It may be a Caucasian, which then affects not just the child, but also the child's mentality, okay, and various other ailments that will result from the mixing in. So it's not just the fact that, two couples came together and to produce a child. You're inheriting all those genetic traits that is now in that child. It may not necessarily be expressed as the child grows up, but it can be passed on, okay, to others, to their children's children. All right. So I hope that makes sense.
When you're talking about the O negative, are you talking about yourself from extraterrestrials? Are you saying our ancestors or different extraterrestrials? Sorry, can you clarify that? Sorry.
Right. So original O positive, A positive, B positive, and OA and AB, OB, except that these are the original were positive blood types was from Pa Natharu. Okay, those are the original. And the negative blood types, O negative, B negative, A negative, etc., was originally from the Kameu Pleiadians. Yeah, and the Anunnaki. Okay. However, we're talking about thousands and years of millennia. Now we're in the day and time where there's so much mixture. There's different blood types that's been inherited by different races on the planet. So it's not that, okay, I'll explain to who the Panatharu are in a minute. So it gets to a point where it's no longer about blood type in the sense of you're just O negative or O positive. That makes you a bad person, or you're a descendant of the Anunnaki, or you're a descendant of the Nagaru or the Natharu. This now has to do genetic markers on your chromosomes. So this is what now extraterrestrials are doing with these institutions that has been created, like Ancestry.com, etc., to find your lineage.
So why is the O negative the universal donor for all the other blood types then, the O negative?
Yeah, it's a universal donor. It doesn't mean that that doesn't come from these beings.
But if it's universal, it means that other blood types need the O negative to survive.
Well, I didn't say anything about survival.
No, but you're saying that the pluses are the original and the negative. But I'm saying
don't look at it as
I'm just
like good or bad. This is not
no. Can I finish first? Because
because
I'm asking a question. You're saying when you talk a lot of scientific things. So I'm just scientific. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, if the plus was first, why does the O negative is the
I didn't say my sister. I didn't say it was first. I said the original.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry,
yeah, the original. Yeah, the original that
I'm
came
saying
through this.
the O pluses or the other ones, the pluses were original. Why does the O negative have to be the universal donor for the other ones? If
Because
it's not,
that's what's being categorized now. Okay, by the West.
no, because because scientifically I know scientists, and it's actually the O negative is the universal donor. It actually is scientifically, they're the universal donor for the other blood types. It's not nothing that's made up. It's the truth.
Yeah, due to the antibodies. I understand that, but I'm trying to understand your question. Okay, it's a universal blood type, but what's your question?
If it's a universal blood type scientifically, then positive can't be the original. It's the O negative that's the original.
No. See, you're saying can't be. We've got a master teacher.
Scientifically, that's
scientifically. What I'm saying is, we've got a master teacher who's explained to us that the original beings didn't come from this realm. You're dealing with beings that came from another realm who had this blood type.
You're saying that ancestors come from another realm, though. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, because no, that's not what I'm saying. That's a proven fact.
Well,
yeah, we as Nagaru. Let me finish. Let me finish, my sister. We as Nagaru, okay, have an ancestry and a lineage that goes back to the stars. Our star heritage, our extraterrestrial heritage goes to the Orion and Sirius star system. The beings that came from the Orion Sirius star system had these blood types. You see what I'm saying? Which were positive blood types, and they resided in an area known as Nupu, which was the green zone, known as the green zone. We're teaching, this is what, if you are an advocate of Parnabab Yanun, and you say that Parnabab Yanun is a being that is teaching factual information about our past does not start just on Earth. It goes beyond the stars. So he's a being who's teaching us information and linking us back in to let us know that there were beings that were outside of the solar system and the universe, okay, or should I say galaxies, okay, who were responsible for creating the universes and then resided in areas, pockets of areas of this universe known as the Orion and Sirius star system. This is where they resided, and all the way back to a place called Risk, okay, which is in the 19th galaxy known as Ilion. So this is what we, as Nagaru, as Africans, our link goes back to those beings. So those beings.
95% of Africa have.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish.
Blood types, then.
Let me finish.
Have negative blood types.
Let me finish, my sister. So those beings came to this planet, and what they had was positive blood types of O, A, etc. Then those other beings that came 450,000 years ago, who had negative O blood type, negative B blood type, negative AO blood type, etc. And they came to this planet. They resided in a place called Zupu, which was the red zone. Now, after thousands of years of time and cycles, these particular two beings, okay, have mixed, because some of the Nagaru, known as the Pata'ais or the Nubans, they migrated into the red zone and mixed in with beings that were there, or children or descendants of these negative type A or B or AO blood types. And in the mixing, we inherited those traits. Okay? That's purely what's happening.
Yeah, I'm not arguing what I'm saying. I'm just saying, first of all, scientifically, there's more O negative blood types in Africa, number one. And number two, O negative has more tapping into their ethereal ethers in sense of telepathy or the other stuff. And most of them are in Africa. So I'm just trying to understand.
Well, that hasn't been broken down by a master teacher, that there's more ethereal or negative.
But
that
you
they
can
can
go
tap into
online.
more
You can go
filters.
online and look at it. There's
Yeah.
research. I'm doing a whole 2 years research, and I've got lots of books by Jewish people who've done tests and all that kind of thing. It's on there
My
saying that
sister, you're dealing, yeah, but you're teaching about things that beings that listen to me.
I didn't interrupt you, but I'm asking the question. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So can I?
Yeah. So one second, yeah, and I'm explaining that Partner Bab Yanun.
I haven't finished my question.
Oh, okay. What's your question?
Thank you. I appreciate that. What I'm just saying is that I'm not saying the master teacher is wrong. I'm just trying to clarify from research, making up. I have paperwork, I have documents, I've gone out physically myself and done blood tests, and all I am saying is that there's more O negative female and men in Africa than throughout the world. Secondly, I'm saying O negative are more copper based, and thirdly, they're more tapped into their gifts than any other blood type. That's what I'm saying. So I want you to clarify based on that, not just saying, not just hearsay, test documents that have been done, DNA test about blood types. If that's the case, if O negative came later, why does O negative is the universal donor for all other blood types? No other blood type will survive without the O negative blood.
Okay, that's through your research. I'd have to do research too, and to come to understand what you're saying. I'm not just gonna say here. What I'm saying to you is that the beings that came here, okay, from those different star systems, this is the blood types that they had.
I understand that. I'm just saying, if that's the case.
Now that universal blood type that you're talking about, what I'm explaining to you is that that's through mixing. That was not the original, because remember, we were here first.
But if the other beings were here first and there was something more, they should be able to, like, it's still not making sense to me, sorry. But
well, what I'm saying is that O blood type was here first. It wasn't O negative that was here first. O blood positive was here first. So somewhere down the line, there's been a switch.
But O positive here first because the O negative that helps all the other blood types. It doesn't make sense.
Why doesn't it make sense that there's been a switch?
I explain to you why it doesn't make sense, because if O positive was here first, then O positive does not need O negative to survive on this planet if they were here first. Scientifically, what you're saying does not make sense. You need to do your research.
My sister,
excuse me, let me interject.
Yeah, go on, Zamal.
Zamalta, sister, you can't say in one breath that you don't think the master teacher is incorrect in what he's saying, and then in the next breath say that's incorrect.
He said last session that the O negative were here first. I've got a recording where he said the O negative was here first last session. And
who said the O negative was here first?
This gentleman here.
No, we're talking about Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. I'm saying to you,
last session he said O negative was here
sis, you need to calm down because you're very agitated, and I can hear your tone.
Guys are going back and front all the time talking.
Yeah, but this only happens when you come on the class and ask the same question. We've been through this same blood type question with you.
It wasn't me.
You're not listening now. You're not listening.
You're asking a question that I didn't ask.
Pardon me?
Don't accuse me of asking a question I didn't ask.
I'm not accusing you of anything. Listen.
I asked a question. I did not ask the question.
Are you going to listen? This is a Q&A question and answer class. Right? We don't really debate and go back and forth. You ask your question, you get your answer. If you're not satisfied with it, you're free to go and research and go somewhere else and ask the question.
I'll research and I'll come back. But
you can't be saying stuff that's not true, though. I'm sorry.
So why do you say it's not true?
Someone that you haven't done your own research.
I have done my research.
You know what? Listen, we're going to mute you and move you.
I'll do further
from the
research.
stage if you're not going to.
I'm going to leave.
Yeah, but listen to your tone. You're not listening, and you're being very disruptive to the class right now.
I'm leaving anyway. Thank you.
Okay, my sister. Yeah. Okay. Right.
And up to you.
It doesn't what she's saying. And I don't know what she's saying. She's saying it was here first. Yes. Negative.
No, we're here to learn. We're here to learn.
Right. Any other questions? Oh, I
Yes,
see
Gamal.
Sheldon, you have a question, sorry?
Yes, Gamal, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's regarding the actual fact existence, how and why. Verse 24. My question is if it's possible to recover a transitioned soul after 9 months, because it mentions that it takes up to 9 months to dry up the souls from disagreeable beings. So I wanted to find out if it's possible to recover transitioned soul after 9 months.
Yeah, because I think what you're reading is that once they steal our soul and it's placed into another body, as it were, that soul only lasts for a certain amount of time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So once that happens, that soul will leave the body or transmigrate. However, when it transmigrates, because it can get into a state of limbo because now it's lost its pathway. You see what I'm saying? And this is why it's very important for us as beings to link in with our ancestors. If that soul being if their soul hadn't been stolen, the only reason why their soul has been taken or being utilized is because they were no longer in the image and likeness of their ancestors. They stopped somewhere down the line. They stopped practicing their rituals or acknowledging their ancestors as their divine and representatives or their alignment to them as their ancestors and relatives. You see? So this is why it's very important when we stress that call on your ancestors, because they're the ones that are able to help you. So if a being that's disembodied soul, that disembodied soul is in a state of purgatory until someone in their lineage or ancestral tree can redeem them and reclaim them. And how that is done is by way of them practicing, just what I'm saying, practicing these rituals or these chants or calling on their names, etc., and acknowledging them. Because the more that you're able to utter their name and their tone and their vibration, that you are able to strengthen them, and then they'll be able to move into the higher ethers and link back with you, who then in turn link back with the rest of their relatives and their ancestors and up to Parnathara, depending on how strong they are. But unfortunately, when a person loses their soul, is because they've got to the point where they're no longer in the image and likeness of who they originally were. They now begin to worship other than self and kind. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm listening to you. What if this soul is an ancestry soul, which is lost, let's say, always been taken by disagreeable beings, and a lot of time has passed? There is something that we can do to help our ancestry souls, or only work one way around?
That's exactly what I'm saying, is that through you, they can get stronger. How? Through your studies. As you continue to study Wu-Sabat, as the master explained in What is Nuwapu, it's an old publication, but in the page in What is Nuwapu, he explains 9 ether will visit the mind of his posterity. Okay, so in you practicing Wu-Sabat in this day and time, in this new 24,000 year cycle, in you doing your chants, in you doing your acknowledgement and affirmations, in you, disciplining yourself and eating correctly, etc., and cleansing your blood, do you know what I mean, with the various herbology, or as we've just said now about music and how music you can, channel and harness this energy, etc. If you're doing all of these practices, what you're doing, you're emitting a vibratory resonance to an ancestor who has become, let's just say, as you say, lost, you know what I mean, or haven't found their way back. You're now beginning to strengthen them. And the more you strengthen them in the lower realms, because what happens is they get trapped in the lower realms. And then and then when they get trapped in the lower realms, they get tormented by disembodied or demonic beings that are already there in that realm. You see?
Okay, of course, yes.
Yeah. And the way for them to be alleviated from that is you being able to practice the things that will help them gets stronger. So it's by way of Wu-Sabat, studying it, teaching it, living it on a day-to-day basis, thinking about the ways that you can help release them. You see what I'm saying? Positive thinking, all of these things help in strengthening them, because it's about the energy that you are putting out there in words, vibration, tones, actions, etc., and frequencies that strengthens those spiritual ancestors who are caught in let's just say limbo.
Okay, and overstood.
Okay.
Understood that. Just one more question under the same scroll. Would that be okay? On the verse 61 to 72, under the scroll, actual fact, existence, how and why, I would like to know how the egg formation on the mother's womb correlates to the sun and the solar system.
Okay, right. So you have the female's womb is the universe. Okay, that is it's like a, what is known, another word for it would be wormhole. So there's the womb, so phonetically worm, they're womb worm. So that wormhole, okay, a sun is basically the egg. So that egg is birthed in the womb or the wormhole, right? In triple darkness, the state of darkness is where energy is formed, and from that energy being formed turns into hydrogen and helium, and that becomes your sun. So that sun is representative of the egg, and that egg moves through the wormhole, okay, out through the canal from triple darkness, and then is fused with the egg in order to produce, it's fused with the sperm to produce a divine being or a child, okay, who in itself is also a sun.
Okay, following.
Are you following?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the egg travels in darkness or travels in the universe until it's birthed.
Wow.
So that's the reason why the female is seen as a divine being, because she literally is a mirror image of the universe. Everything that she does, that's what the universe does on a minuscule level.
Okay, that's understood. That's understood as well. Yes,
okay.
it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. Right. I see Sheldon and Jackie.
Okay.
Rahubat.
Rahubat, this is Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Rahubat.
Okay, continue on the topic of the blood work, I think about when I go to the lab, because, the doctor might request a blood work be done, and I'm always thinking that they take too much blood for what they need to do. So, what's your take on what they're doing? Don't you think that they're taking too much blood for, to do the examination? They're doing something with the blood that they're drawing.
That's 100% right, because if you think about it this way, if they only need a swab, okay, of genetic material to find out all the things that are wrong with you, just from a DNA swab, rubbing it on your cheek, etc., to get those cells. Why do you need so much blood just to find out a simple ailment? And you can say there's blood-borne diseases in there, etc., but the same amount of blood, a thimbleful, can also find out the same thing. They'll explain it, because we've got to spin it in a centrifuge and separate the particles, etc. But you've got electron microscopes now and many other things that can see beyond these, look at the molecules and look at the DNA and look at the genetic markers on the different DNA strands. It's possible now.
Right.
Yeah. Essentially, maybe 30, 40 years ago, they'll be able to get away with it and say, collect X amount of vials of blood, you know what I mean? Because, like, for instance, I think for a woman carrying a child, I think they might take about 6 vials of blood for different tests, when really, truly, it is not necessary. You know, so they're modern day vampires. And this goes back to Dracula, the story of Dracula, and you know, them taking blood because they need the blood, they need the plasma, they need the energy that's in the blood. Originally, what they were doing with our ancestors when they were taking them, excavating them from Egypt, is that they will actually blend them, okay, and into a soup, and then drink the vial of soup. This gave birth to your crazy mentality that they will get. Like, you know, your Jekyll and Hyde story, where he took an elixir and then he went berserk. Yeah, this is your Jekyll and Hyde story. Yeah, manifesting itself where they go crazy because the potency of our mafkuzat that was in the DNA at that time, especially from our ancestors in as the pharaohs, okay, and the females and males, is that the potency was the mafkuzat, and when they took the mafkuzat, it made them go insane. You see.
Another question I have, you know, like I have siblings from the same mother, same father, but we have different blood type. You know, how is that?
It's literally due to when the 2 chromosomes X and Y, okay, because they split in essentially, and then if the one side will fuse from the male, and another side 1/3 from the male, 1/3 from the female, and then now fuse to create another. You see what I'm saying? X amount of chromosomes, so that becomes your 23, 23, 46 new child. Okay, and so that new child would inherit all the different traits, blood type, etc. Do you know what I mean? Some are dormant, some are more dominant, some are more recessive, some are actually asleep unless they're awoken by certain practices that we may do or things that we're exposed to in life. Okay, they're known as this is where your epigenetics comes in, where some genes are not expressed until they're exposed to a particular environment. So what's happening is that when 2 parents come together and they share chromosomes, 23 comes from the mother, 23 comes from the father. However, within those DNA chromosomes, there's different genetic traits that are inherited from the other ancestors, the 30 of their side, and the 30 or 28 or 29, depending on whether the grandmother or grandfather are still alive. You inherit up to 30 relatives on both sides of the family tree. And in those inheritance, okay, you also have the spirit force of that child coming from either mother or father. Okay, and then this then becomes that child. It all goes into that child. So that child may potentially inherit from the mother's side that blood type, or potentially from the father's side that blood type. Most of the time is the mother's side.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great, thanks. You know, there's a lady that I've listened to, you know, on occasions, but she spoke a lot. She's supposed to be a prophetess, and she spoke a lot about, you know, a horrible earthquake is going to happen to Jamaica and it's going to destroy the country. You know, what should I think? I mean, you know, it's like you hear this and it's like, well, you know, should I believe this or not? You know, that type of thinking. What is?
Well, sorry to just cut you. You're saying that a prophetess who has spoken about a earthquake in Jamaica, is that correct?
Yeah, she said there's going to be an earthquake in Jamaica. Very strong earthquake that will destroy much of the country. You know, and I'm saying this is her saying what's going to happen in the future. So it's like, what is one to take about it? You know, I hear it and it's like, okay, should I just dismiss it or, you know, just ignore it?
Okay, I'm serious. I see. Are you talking about like doomsday gloom kind of doom and gloom kind of thing?
Yeah.
You'd have to, if she's available to communicate with, you'd have to ask her that question. Okay. However, Partner Babianun has explained on different occasions that they're using their weather weapons. Okay. And these weather weapons have the ability to destroy countries or parts of countries. At the same time, our ancestors, they also use the weather as a form of destruction or removal of certain beings on the planet. So I don't know who she's tapped into or who she's getting the communication from. You'd have to ask her, you know, as being a prophetess, where you getting this information from. Just like we can say, we're getting this information from Partner Bab Yanun, who's getting it from Partner Taru, who are our ancestors who are connected to us. And they've been giving us warnings and guidance by way of our master teacher for over 50 years. You know what I'm saying? The things are about to come to pass. But for the prophetess, I can't speak for her and answer her question. You'd have to call her on YouTube or Cash App her or whatever the case may be, you know what I mean, to communicate with her. All right.
One final question.
Yes.
You know, so much that's going on, you know, with the Trump administration, you know, and it's you know, so many dramatic changes are happening so fast. You know, it's upsetting a lot of people. You know, the emotions, it's really growing, and you know, people are getting upset and getting angry. How should we be handling, you know, this Trump administration and all of what's going on? How should we really be handling ourselves through this process?
Where are you? Where are you? Are you in Jamaica or US?
I am right here in Washington, D.C. in the US.
Washington. Are you with any of the families in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's been survival classes on Facebook from one of the Sabian families where it's teaching us how to prepare for certain, you know, events that are going to take place, you know, stockpiling of certain foods or, you know, what's it called? Yeah, medicines, basic needs, etc. So what I'd advise is get in touch with your local store or local temple and then find out what preparations are being made there. Okay, because the master teacher said obviously he's explained that in regarding the US, things are going to get worse in the US, and obviously it's going to hit the rest of the planet, but it's going to get really bad in the US, especially with this Trump administration. So it's in your best interest to link up with family members in Washington and find out what is happening there so that you can start making steps to prepare.
Are you speaking of the Wu-Sabat families?
I honestly don't know if there's you'd have to look online to see if there's let me see if there's a Washington.
When you say families, are you talking about my own family?
No, Sabian family.
Yeah.
Are you attending the classes and stuff in Washington?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. If you're new to Wu-Sabat, are you new?
I'm not really new. I've been listening for months, at least 6 months.
Yeah, you're new. You're new.
Oh,
okay. Well, there are families in around the world. There's communities, and in those communities, you will be able to find the best place to go to find out the communities. If you go into our national website, UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com.
And you know, when I would go on there, it would not allow me. It's like I would not be able to get access or something.
Have you signed up as a member?
But I need to. I'm gonna do that.
Sign up as a member, and then you get all the updates, and also there's like you can get a list of all the places that you can attend in temples or bookstores. And my advice would be to then, you know, find your nearest or local bookstore and meet up with a family and find out what kind of contingency plans that they have in place, because you know it is going to get tougher, and we have to band together as you know, as family, you know. So all around parts of America or the UK, you know, there's instructions that are being given, and there's guidance that the master teacher is giving us of how we should be preparing. So you know, it's just a matter of getting in touch with the communities and then working from there.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome, my sister. Okay. Right. We have 10 more minutes. So any question? Oh, I see Jackie, if you could put your hand raised. Yeah, okay. And Sheldon, have you asked a question yet? Oh, Sheldon just dropped his hand. Okay, are there any questions on, because I came to see to ignore Clubhouse. Clubhouse, Rahubat, any questions on here? Okay, who's got a question on Zoom?
Zamal, just
Yeah,
just a quick one. Which scroll I can get into in order to find the etymology on the English words, to break down the words? Which scroll should I go through?
So you're saying one of our publications, you want to find a publication that will explain the English words? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, because there is a breakdown on words. For example, community, common, unity, education. There is always, I've noticed through classes that is usually break down the words in English.
Oh, okay. No, we actually use etymology online. That's a website you go and you can, I mean, many moons ago, or should I say suns ago, the master teacher explained about the word etymology, and he said, look it up. So those who are diligent students obviously looked up the word etymology, and that stands for the origin of words and names and etc. And you know the how it's played, because he's a linguist. He knew that in order to break the spell of this spell that we're under is through the language. So going through the language, etymology online gives you a lot of explanations of the original language, all the way into the Indo-European, all the way into the Italian, what's it called?
Latin, Greek.
Latin, exactly. These are known as Indo-European languages. Yeah, you know. And then what you do is you would sorry, go on.
Any specific website?
Yeah, it's called Etymology Online. Literally, that's the name. Etymology Online.
All right. I appreciate love. Thanks.
Anytime, my brother. Right. Somebody's clearing their throat. Have they got a question? Okay. Sheldon, I see your hand up. Is that a question or just that you forgot to put your hand down? Anyone in class has got a question?
No, I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I've just been struggling with something and I just needed some reinforcement. It's about music.
Okay.
So I know drill music and like gangster rap music and stuff, that's not good for my vibration, and that's going to put me on the menu.
Okay. Okay.
So, well, I'm correct in saying that, right? Just to make sure.
No, I'm laughing because it's true.
Yeah, cool. So, what about stuff maybe like R&B and Afro beats? Like, what is it about that gangster rap music besides the lyrics? Obviously, is it the beat? Something about the beat or the 808s that make it lower your vibration?
Definitely, the 808 is a. I mean, most music now, you know, we're not gonna hit front hit here on Wu-Sabat. Most music is artificial and synthetic. Just like it has no soul. Once you put it into the 808 or the A track or anything, or it gets fed into the synthesizer or all these different machines, sound machines, etc., it's very hard to replicate natural music. You understand? But it's as close as you can. One other type of music, it really is natural instruments, acoustics, you know. So, I mean, I can recommend some if you want that I personally listen to. Some people like one of the instrument in Mali called a kora, Kora, kora. Yeah, Tuamani Diabate. He's like a Malian griot instrumentalist. So he plays natural acoustics. You also have, you know, if you want to listen to like harmonious music, I mean,
you said. Did you say Kora? Kora.
Yeah, Kora, Kora. Yeah.
Okay.
You also have the duduk, Duduk. That's also a musical instrument that is used. You can look that up and the sound. So most of the sounds you're gonna find are very harmoniously blended. And then you also have to now look at also the tone of the music, like A note, the notes. Yeah, the note of the music could be either F, A, or C. So you have to look at that as well.
Okay, so I want to find. So you're saying that when the music gets electronic, and with the 808s, regardless of if it's R&B or Afro beats, when it's electronic and there's 808s, it's just gonna lower your vibration.
Pretty much so, because this is why, again, implementing and advocating chanting and those other aspects is to counter. It's like a countermeasure. You see what I'm saying? So the more you do your humming, we just explain about the bones in the body. Yeah, that's what the class was about, and how your bones generate an electrical field. So that electrical field that it generates, it can do two things. If you're listening to music that's not conducive, is that it can actually, destroy DNA or affect your cells of your body, where it won't heal. So the A note, the C note, and the F note, these are healing frequencies.
Okay.
Do you understand? Yeah. So when we're doing these chants are actually healing us internally. That's why one of the things the master teacher said is learning to turn yourself inside out and outside in. Okay, so these are the things you're doing internally so that the true essence of you, your etheric being, can come forth.
Okay, so if...
Yeah, go on. No, I was going to say, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't listen to it, because listen to music like back in the day, music like the old R&B, the soul, the what they call oh gosh, Greg Groove, those kind of beat music. Just you know what I'm saying? Because it's more in alignment, closer to your soul and your rhythm. And it also rejuvenates brain cells at the same time, because it's music that you're remembering from your childhood.
Yeah. So what if you said those tones were F, C, and A?
Yeah, F, A, C. Yeah, those are the tones, our natural notes for our African body.
Okay, so what if it's acoustic music, but it's not necessarily those tones?
Then it's on a different frequency.
And could that frequency lower my vibration still?
Precisely, that's right. That's what it's not. Yeah, because you see, every race has a tone, a note, a frequency, a vibration that's assigned to them.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is why they've managed to put us all into one melting pot, and we think that we're all the same. We're not. We're actually beings. Let me read the last part again. So this is from the book I was reading earlier. So in fact, words, sounds, tones, art, vibrations, waves, organized in structured words affect you. Yeah. So just bear that in mind, that it affects us. And we are beings that are omniversal. So if you're an omniversal being and you're doing the right chants and the right meditative frequencies, or listen to the right tones, then what's happening is that you're opening up your being to those universal and omniversal frequencies. The moment you start to listen to dissonance music, or music that's not conducive to your natural nature, it does the opposite. It cuts you off.
Okay. So may I ask why, when I listen to certain music and it amps me up, like say I'm in the gym and I'll listen to drill, it gets me like properly ready and prepared for this exercise I'm about to do. Or say I'm listening to some pop music and all of a sudden I'm just happy. It's just put me in a great mood, put a pep in my step. Just, I don't know, some Taylor Swift or whatever, and I'm just a happy guy now. Why does that happen?
Because you're activating different ancestors that's in you.
So the different ancestors that in me, they like that certain music, and that's making me feel a certain way.
Yeah, because they're expressing how they feel through you. So you think it's you. Just like certain, if you get a positive thought come to your mind, and you get a negative thought to come to your mind, and you act them out, sometimes, or you may want to eat a certain food that you think, I don't normally eat this, because they have an influence on us.
That's why music is soul food. It eats your soul.
Exactly. Certain music is soul food. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good.
Okay. Yeah. So just bear that in mind. It's a step-by-step process, but we strongly urge that you continue on this journey, and we will all one day meet up in that realm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. This was the last question. I've been showing the time. The time is now 9:30. Unless you have really burning question to ask, and you can't wait till next week. If not, I would like to end class by saying Tawkum Laheyatoyas. Thank you all.
Excuse me, Paul. Excuse me, Paul. You hearing me?
So are you asking a question? Is your mic on?
Yes, it's on. I have a earpiece in my ears. You hearing me?
I can just about hear you. You have a question?
Okay, let me just take off the Bluetooth.
It sounds like you're underwater.
Yes, Paul.
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
Yes. The timer step back or it gone in front.
Oh, right. Yeah. For those my brothers and sisters, that's I guess I'll take the blame I'll take the hit for this one. Our clocks, unfortunately, the British Standard Time has gone, is it forward, right? Yeah, it's gone forward an hour. So yeah, for you guys, who are around the world, it's gonna look the same, but yeah, unfortunately it's gone. So that's smack on my hand. I didn't put that in when I started the class. So I do apologize for that. Okay, but yeah, the times have gone forward. So next time you tune in, make sure.
That's okay. I'm checking.
Okay. All right. Musiar Tawkum Laheyatoy. Appreciate your time. Thank you. This class would not be so without you. Always remember, Partner Bab Yanun in your forefront of your mind, see him in your mind's eye. When you're chanting, have that energy, seeing him free, work together. If you can make it to our physical classes at nashat.co.uk, at the store, please come down. If you're looking to become a member, go on to unitedsabiansworldwide.com where you can sign up or seek to join our membership class forum, which is going to be on Nashat Kayat, our WhatsApp forum, okay, where you can actually find out more information about joining there, and you can also be, come part and build together. Okay, we have a celebration next week, okay, which replaces Easter. Is known as Ashastat Habalao. Okay, Easter is a Sunday. All right, Sunday, is that Sunday the 13th? Friday? Yeah, Sunday the 13th. Okay, so anyone who can make it down to Nashat 101 Church Street, Croydon. Okay, we have our celebration from 1 till 5. And you can meet up with the family and mingle and get to know everybody properly there. Okay, I think that was all the announcements. OSM, doing a great job on OSM. Also try and tune in on Tuesdays. Ask us anything on OSM on YouTube with our brother Sekin Sakham Raye. And wishing you everybody love and peace, Ashok, and stay well, stay strong, stay safe. Wadu Moisar.
Forever.